a team of the week and 3 team of the season squads to sink our teeth into, FUT economist on their market impact and how we both got banned from the transfer market, plus Horace returns with 89 Player of the Month Son in review. All that on this week's FUT Weekly. Hello, welcome to week 34 of FUT Weekly. I'm Ben, and Horace is back.
Hello.
He's here to discuss what has been possibly a record-breaking day of content yesterday.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had Team of the Season Most Consistent, Player of the Month, Man of the Match cards, some extra SBCs for Team of the Season. Yeah, I mean, that's like more things than I can count.
Yeah.
Isn't that good at maths? But yeah, no, so much content. Loads of Team of the Season is finally here after so much kind of speculation about how the ratings were going to work. Your theory of maybe having like a base rating has been proven to be correct.
Basically, I talked and EA listened.
Yeah.
That's all we need to know. 87 rated is kind of the baseline for Team of the Season, it seems. I mean, there's a bit of a question mark over whether the stats are actually being upgraded to such an extent.
There's several cards where you look at them in the gold Team of the Season where all of them are 87 rated or higher, but some of the ones that have been upgraded from much lower rated cards don't really look like 87 rated cards in terms of the stats, like maybe kind of mid-80s.
Yeah, but then you do think like someone like Pazzini, I mean, his original gold card, I mean, we'll probably discuss this later, was obviously really bad anyway. So I think to an extent you've got to bear in mind that some of these players, because they're not like small upgrades with big stat upgrades, it's just one big upgrade and big stat upgrades. It doesn't look quite as substantial, but actually the boosts on those card stats are still going up by a similar amount to the actual upgrade that the card received.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also you're always going to have like kind of, you can have an 85 rated inform and they can either be an amazing 85 rated inform or they could also be a terrible 85 rated inform. Like, it's fine to have variation in these cards. And I think, having said like they don't all seem like 87 rated special cards, pretty much all the cards I've looked at do have something to offer. Like, none of them look actually awful.
Yeah. And this week we should point out that we've got a huge second part of the podcast. I'm sure many of you know that's when we kind of discuss all the recent players that have come out and discuss the team of the week, particularly most weeks. But obviously we've got 3 team of the seasons to talk through, so it's going to be a big section coming up very shortly. And also we're going to review Player of the Month Son. Well, you're going to review Player of the Month Son as you did the SBC yesterday.
Yeah, really enjoying him so far, but stay tuned to get the in-depth analysis. And Ben, you'll be talking to Jamie in a little bit to kind of get a more market-focused analysis of Team of the Season launch. And also I think what's going to be quite interesting to discuss is the daily knockout tournament requirements we've got next week and going into the weekend league next
they
weekend.
could cause some serious market movements. But I mean, what are your thoughts on have you got a team planned? Have you started building it yet for that?
Yeah, so this is for the daily knockout tournament next week, where there's going to be a requirement of or a maximum of 8 gold players in your starting 11 and subs. So basically, you need to have a silver bench and at least 3 silver players in your starting lineup. And what makes that's happened before as a daily knockout requirement. What's significant, obviously, is this is going to be a daily knockout tournament where if you win the tournament, you get the 24th man from the most consistent gold team of the season, which is Rudy, the Bundesliga centre mid. And yeah, he looks like actually quite a good card. I mean, he's joining the kind of hordes of decent box-to-box midfielders in the Bundesliga. But if you whack Anchor on him, for instance, then he gets his card stats are sort of above 80 across the board with some highlights of sort of 88 agility, 81 balance, as well as 82 strength, 86 standing tackle, 86 sliding tackle. He's also got 87 short passing, 86 long passing by default, mid-80s on his long shots and shot power. I think he could actually be a really nice little card, and if you're getting him for free, then why the hell not?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, give the tournament a go, but at the same time, I might not completely
might not build yourself a full silver TOTS team to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to go all in. I think he's a good card, but he's not like outstanding. That being said, he's quite versatile. Like, I feel like you could put him in various different positions, and he's still going to perform. And also the fact that he is German, which means you can link him up with a lot of players. And you've got a perfect link to Vogt, who's quite a decent informed centre-back. Yeah. And there are potential for Hoffenheim to get a few other team of the season cards you could potentially link him up to. So it's a decent card. Like, you're not going to say no to it.
No, exactly. And I mean, I'm quite excited to see, slightly excited, slightly worried to see like how sweaty this tournament gets, because it's the first tournament we've had this year for a player specifically.
Last year's were quite brutal.
Yeah, this year, what's been quite nice actually about the Daily Knockout tournament has been the fact that it can be quite chilled. Like if you're not that fussed about, or either if you're qualified for weekend league or you're fairly confident that you will at some point, you can take it quite easy, and the standard of play is just less sweaty than weekend league itself. Whereas this will take it to a completely different level. I
feel sorry for anyone who's wanting to
just qualify for weekend league. Exactly.
It's going to make it a lot tougher.
But I mean, we'll have to see, because obviously there will be a huge proportion of the player base will be playing this tournament, so the average quality of player may actually not be that much higher than usual.
And also, I think there'll be limits on the number of times you can enter. So by the end, obviously, and once people have won it, they're very unlikely to go back in again.
Well, exactly. So I mean, about a month ago, when EA did the changes to how FUT Champs rewards were going to be structured, they also added a limit to the Daily Knockout tournament of you couldn't re-enter it once you won it once.
Yeah, of course.
Assuming they maintain that, then towards the end of the week, it should get easier to win.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. You know, if you're not a top quality weekend league player, there's no reason why you couldn't win this in the latter stages once the quality of players is trimmed down a bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a really solid card. And what kind of are you thinking in terms of your team? Have you got something lined up you're going to go for?
Yeah, so I picked up when they did the skill upgrades a little while back. I spotted a Swedish man of the match card, 74 rated, called Godos, who's a striker who got a 4-star, upgraded to 4-star skills. He's got like 87 pace, decent physicals, and just like quite a nice card around. I picked him up for like under 10k. Like he was almost discard. And I think he's now up at kind of 30 odd earlier today because of this tournament coming up. And I'd forgotten I had him in my club, and I was just looking through at the silvers I had, found him, and then obviously I have Player of the Month Zlatan, so 2 Swedish players up top. And I was looking at doing something, then linking them with Emil Forsberg from RB Leipzig. But in the end, that actually kind of proved much more complicated than just getting a couple of strong links down the right-hand side of a 4-1-2-1-2 with Godos going down through another a random Swedish midfielder in the Swedish league, and then POTM Son, the Swedish right back, who's in the silver most consistent team of the season.
Like 95 pace or something, right?
I think 90 pace.
But, 90 pace, okay. With Anchor, yeah.
With Anchor, he gets mid-90s. And so that's basically just that right-hand side of the team sorts itself out if I can then get chemistry to the rest of the team. So I'm going to have Zlatan in the middle and just go Premier League for the rest of it, probably. And I'm pretty happy with how it looks.
So 2 very kind of strong silver cards, which are basically gold, right?
Yeah, exactly. Stats, that's sort of the thinking. I've got like one sort of weak link, who's the silver Swedish midfielder who's linking the striker and the right back. Yeah. But you can always sub him off. I can always sub him off for a stronger silver that I've got on the bench. What about you?
Yeah, I've gone for. I tweeted this out actually, and I'll chat more about Housawi, I think his name is, the Saudi League centre back a bit later, when we look at the players in part 2. But he's a really solid player, and I've got him. Well, I'm going to buy him anyway once a lightning round strikes. Jump in there. But yeah, and I've also got Al Sharani, right back over the years, has got really good team of the season cards. Whether
Partners in crime.
Yeah, I don't know whether the team of the season, he'll get team of the season this year when the Saudi League thing will come out, but his standard card I've already got, and he's very solid and looks like a good option. He's kind of like a 78 rated right back or something with Anchor on him.
Pretty sure.
And then Al Horace is like a 90 rated
centre back.
So
put shadow on him.
Yeah, exactly. So he's really good, and then the right back's really good, and then I'm just looking for another silver player to get him, but I'll probably just like link in a left back. And I think it's a good advice. Look for left backs and right backs who have decent passing already, and then put Anchor on them, because that will give you a really like solid defensive base. Yeah, I mean obviously you need them to be decently quick, but Anchor obviously gives a decent boost.
Yeah, they've got kind of anything above high 70s pace and like acceptable passing, then put Anchor on them and they'll do a job for you.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you can get higher pace, then you can still use Anchor and still be really good. And then if you're looking at players with a high pace but lacking elsewhere, I think put Backbone on the player.
Interesting, yeah.
And you'll get really good defending, physical and
passing.
But obviously it depends player to player. But I think the left back and right back option is a good way to go, because really you just want good pace, a decent amount of physical, and the ability to kind of pass it more than about 2 foot, and you'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there are plenty of gold fullbacks with terrible passing who play as though their passing is outstanding. Kyle Walker springs to mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a bit. But yeah, I'm quite excited about the team of the season.
Seeing what people are going to do with that as well
for that tournament. And then the weekend league after that is going to have the same limits. So you'll have a maximum of 8 gold players in your starting lineup, which is the first time we've had that in the weekend league.
First time there's been a silver requirement.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be quite interesting to see if anyone does anything other than just find 3 good Premier League silvers.
Yeah. And I imagine those silver Premier League players will increase significantly over the next.
You would think they might. They definitely spiked kind of when people realised that this was going to happen, and whether they have just declined slightly since then. And
obviously, like the silver players are getting packed quite a lot.
Exactly, there are a lot of Electrum packs around at the moment because EA have got obviously the silver team, most consistent team of the season out. So that's an interesting one. Yeah, so something else we should probably cover is the team of the season bonus SBCs, which there are going to be 6 of them. If you complete all 6, you will get we think, ultimate pack with 1 guaranteed team of the season player in it from any of the team of the seasons, because you'll get that reward after all team of the seasons are completed. They will be untradeable. That's important to note. And they're going to be beginning on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, so it's every Tuesday, 72 hours. And I think they're quite a good idea. The question
it's basically like a more nuanced thing of what they did in FUT Birthday.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, as I was saying, the question is how difficult they're going to be to complete. Towards the end, are we going to see really difficult requirements, more expensive requirements? Because at the moment, they look, thinking back to FUT Birthday, I think it could be quite accessible. And all they've done is added in the team of the season item. Whereas before they said with the chance of a FUT Birthday card. This time it's going to be guaranteed team of the season item, which is really good because I think it was a criticism people had of the FUT Birthday one. Like, it was ultimately just an ultimate pack.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, an ultimate pack is the most expensive pack. But
it's a mega pack. It's untradeable, of course. So it was still great. Obviously, free things like that, which were basically free. The requirements were so easy; it was basically free. I think that are always positive, but in this case, it'll be interesting to see whether we see any developments. We see it a bit more expensive than before.
Yeah, my guess is it might be slightly more expensive than the FUT Birthday one. But equally, my hope is that it stays accessible for kind of a wide swathe of the like FUT community, because it's really important to have things in these promotions that everyone can access.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, I think it's time, Ben, for your chat with our resident market expert at FUT_economist.
Yep. Hello, Jamie. How are you?
Hi, Ben. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, actually. Quite pleased with the team of the season. Are you happy with the kind of upgrade that all the players got? What do you think about that?
I thought it was good. I liked that they, sort of similar to what they did with the team of the week items, they made it so that, at least it appears, that there's a minimum rating of 87. I'm a fan of that. So
yeah, it's good. And what were you kind of thinking in terms of the amount of players on the market? It seems like the pack weight is quite high.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. If you go into streams or if you look on Twitter, I don't know if it's a product of how many packs people have saved and now are consequently opening right now. But in general, it looks like, just from watching people do live streams and opening packs, that the pack weight is really high. Especially for some of the players, like the bronze and silver players. I've just seen people tweeting me tweets about, they're opening like 4 or 5 bronze packs and they get a team of the season item, which could just be sort of like a one-off thing, and then maybe everyone's doing it, and that's just one person that got really lucky. But just in general, it seems like the card weight is extremely high, sort of as if they're not special cards, just like regular card. Like they have the weight of a regular card, but they're just blue. So, which is, obviously has interesting market implications.
I mean, I partly kind of wonder, this is quite cynical, whether it's kind of to entice people in. None of these cards are particularly valuable,
right?
Or sought after. Giving these away, handing them out, kind of makes people more inclined to open packs,
right?
With their free packs that they've got on their account, and then they'll be more willing to buy those packs when it's Premier League time, when it's all the other big leagues as well.
Right.
It's possible, but I mean, you have often seen in the past, I think, higher chances of packing those items within the first team of the season period.
Right. Yeah.
Or within the team of the season most consistent. And actually, that makes sense because if you think about the fact that they kind of choose card weights based on how valuable that item is to people, players like Pogba obviously have really low card weight, even though their impacts all the time.
Right.
So they're much rarer. And I feel like the team of the season most consistent is likely to just be a higher card weight. They're more common because ultimately they don't have the same kind of value.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, I mean, sort of following that logic, though, it would mean that some of the heavy-hitting team of the season items in the likes of the Premier League, the Liga Santander, would be harder to get because it's not just gonna people aren't gonna be popping off with Ronaldo's team of the seasons because obviously his normal card is incredibly hard to get. So it would make sense that they're not making some sort of we're not saying that they're going to make some sort of random exception now where it's going to be really easy to pack these team of season items. It's still relative to their regular card weight, but
so yeah, on the prices of those players, kind of what do you see happening there? Going to drop or?
Yeah, I mean it's sort of been interesting. What we saw immediately was that the prices of them were pretty low. A lot of them actually went right down to discard, which is $20,000 for a team of the season item this year. Because obviously there's a ton of people that weren't able to have the willpower or chose not to have the willpower to save their packs. And we saw that a lot of people were obviously listing them up and that pushed their prices way down. But recently, some of the more high demand team of the season most consistent golds and silvers have rebounded quite significantly. Not significantly, but they've rebounded. Just sort of in general, I would predict that those prices would go down as team of the season goes on and people realize that they'd much rather spend their coins on some of the higher level, better players out there. So yeah, that's sort of just in general for that. One sort of interesting to take note of is the silver players. We were sort of talking about this a second ago or earlier today. Was that they're getting high right now. There's the potential for them to get even higher on Sunday and Monday because sort of what we saw with previous weekend league requirements where there was a constrictive weekend league requirement that forced players to change their teams. When people sold their teams, their most recent teams, and then immediately switched over, which was obviously would happen on Sunday going into Monday, which is when people be doing it this week for the silver requirement, that the prices of those players that were going to be then useful actually went up significantly on Monday and Tuesday and actually went way too high on the first days where you could buy them and then actually just decreased for the rest of the week. So the point being the silver team assistant cards probably have a good chance of actually going down throughout the week after peaking on Monday and Tuesday. So
yeah, okay, that's quite interesting. So if you're going to buy silver cards because you want them for the weekend league especially, maybe not for the tournament because you might want to buy them before. I guess that's another reason why they might be high to start with.
Right.
Because of the team of the season tournament. Then, yeah, maybe buy later in the week. I think it's quite a good idea.
Right.
And if you're a good player, you'll probably be able to win it in an evening anyway, hopefully.
Right. Exactly.
And by that point, actually, it'll be less competitive, you would have thought, as well.
Sure.
So in terms of these cards, there's obviously quite a lot of them around. Does that imply there might be an SBC which requires them later?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a possibility. Obviously, that isn't something that they've talked about explicitly in their sort of press release, their hype release that they gave us the other day, talking about what was going to come for Team this season. But Yasir has been talking about on Twitter how there's going to be extras coming during Team this season. Obviously, we have no idea what those extras are going to be, but it would sort of make sense that they wouldn't want this whole slew of Team of the Season items all the way down at their discard. And sort of in the past, what they've done when players have gone down to discard with either discard informs or 80, some of their gold players, just in general, they've released SBCs that seem to be targeting those players and pushing them back above their discard prices. So I wouldn't be surprised if they release some sort of SBC that either has a high rating and requires Team of the Season items or just requires a high rating in general, because really some of these high rated cards are going for less than their non-Team of the Season items that are the similar rating.
So put your tinfoil hat on for a moment. I've got a little something for you.
Okay.
So this week, obviously, we've got the Team of the Season tournament. So the daily knockout, which is over the whole midweek. So it stretches from Monday to Thursday, and you get your Team of the Season reward. But the week after, it's gone back to having two separate tournaments during the week. And I'm wondering whether this means that that week, instead of having the tournaments, they'll have an SBC.
Mm.
And then the following week, it will go back to having a tournament.
Maybe. Did they say anything on their press release about having like a winnable 24th man team seed item for every week? Or was
No,
that
I
just
don't think it's specified.
interesting
But
theory?
I mean,
And while we're on the topics of requirements, I did just see that the requirements for 2 weekends out has no specific requirements, only trading items. So that's a nice breather for anyone that doesn't like requirements and just wants to run with their team.
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting theory, that whole thing. But I think what's perhaps more plausible is just that there's going to be 2 team of the season cards winnable that week. So one on the first tournament and one on the second tournament. So moving on to kind of the scheduling, as we're talking about it anyway, they're obviously going to release the team of the season on Friday, as they've done already. But they're also looking to do the release on Tuesday,
Right.
which is actually not what they've normally done in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, normally in the past, what they do is they release a lesser known league on Wednesday and then one of the heavy hitting leagues on Friday. But they've told us that there's going to be new team of the seasons dropped on every Tuesday and Friday. So obviously the only difference there is that there's going to be a different day that the potentially the lesser known league is going to be released on. We still don't know if it's going to be the lesser league, I should say. But so sort of going forward, what that means is there's sort of 2 questions to be answered in the short term. Are they going to skip a week and then release the Premier League on Friday? Sort of similar to what they did in previous years. They would have the team of the season most consistent in packs for a whole week, and then followed by the next team of the season release was the Premier League. Or are they going to have a team of the season release on Tuesday, which would likely be a smaller team, something like the Football League, so that you can use those players for the silver requirement? That's just sort of the question that we're thinking about right now, followed by the Premier League. Personally, I think it's more likely that they're going to release something on Tuesday, just since they've said that. I do think there's going to be something on Tuesday.
But yeah, that's all quite possible. Let's move on to the market. Things are starting to kind of rise a little bit over the past couple of days, but do you think we could see a fall again after Weekend League?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously whenever there's restrictive Weekend League requirements, people have to sell their players to go ahead and pick up new ones, but so that could lead to a drop in some of the higher end players, because obviously we've talked about this before on the podcast. Whenever there's high churn, player prices usually drop a little bit just because of the tax and undercutting. But just sort of in general, we've seen a rebound in prices recently. People buying back some of the higher end players, guys like Ronaldo, Vieira, some of the mainstay staples that really aren't going to ever be replaced by team of the season items have sort of rebounded. And I think we're going to continue to see that as we move on. There's a lot of people sort of talking about, obviously a lot of people have packs saved up from SBCs or Weekend League or whatever they're saving it from. And a lot of people are talking about how, because there's so many packs, that the player prices are actually going to take a huge hit, sort of prophesizing this doomsday sort of scenario when BPL team of the season comes or Premier League team of the season comes. But I don't necessarily see that happening, because you have to think, like, when you open packs, it doesn't necessarily mean that the only thing happening is the supply is increasing, especially this year with how competitive people want to be and how competitive they want their teams to be. Oftentimes what happens is it's opening a pack. What it does, sort of a net effect, is that it drops the prices of lower players that have a higher card weight, and it pushes up the prices of some of the higher end players, because people take all the coins that they've made from those, like opening the pack and selling the players, and then sort of funnel it directly to the players that they want on their team. So you sort of have to think, if someone has like 400 packs saved up, is sort of what you've seen on Twitter, and they open up all those packs in the Premier League, what it's going to do is it's obviously going to hit the prices of some of like the 80 through 84 rated players. So you could see the 84 plus team of the season or team of the week SBC go down a bit, but you could also see the prices of some of the higher end guys like Vieira, Del Piero, maybe non-informed Ronaldo, guys like that actually go up, because people now also have all these sort of coins to go and just spend it on that.
What you're kind of saying is there could similarly be kind of almost a bit of a balancing effect.
Right.
And the whole thing is obviously highly dependent on what kind of SBCs are around at the time, as we know. So that would be quite interesting, actually.
Right, exactly. One thing to note, though, is that one thing that we do have to consider when you're talking about packs being opened is if team of the season card weight is really high for the Premier League or for whatever league people decide to open their packs on. If it's really high and people are constantly packing team of the season items, as we're sort of seeing them do with the team of the season most consistent, obviously that's going to make it so that all prices in general just go down.
Yeah, because everything's going to be relative to that, isn't it? So.
Exactly. So that's just one thing to look out for.
And in terms of making investments, I know there are a few players you can invest in. I know you've built a team you say you think won't be affected too much by market fluctuations, or at least they may not get team of the seasons, I suppose, is what you're thinking.
Right, yeah.
But are there other ways to invest?
Yeah, I think there definitely are, and I think you're very familiar with the other way of investing. Why don't you tell them about your most recent?
Yeah, I mean, I bought fitness cards, bronze especially. Loads of people are doing the bronze pack method to pack some team of the season items. It's a good idea. You're not really going to make a loss, and it's good fun. And they're selling all those fitness cards, so they're really cheap at the moment. Normally they'd go. I mean, often you've seen them go for about 1,300 for a bronze squad fitness, and now they're down about 400. So I bought about 100 of them. I then found I wasn't able to buy any more, and I'd been banned from the transfer market for 24 hours. And I just mentioned this to you before we started, and I think you might have had a similar experience.
I might have had a similar experience. Yeah, I'm currently banned from the transfer market. Luckily, I don't need to buy anyone, but I apparently buying 250 bronze fitness items is too many. So yeah. I guess that's where they put my limit at. But yeah, just in general, for those of you that are sort of inquisitively listening to us right now, a good way of sort of investing right now is consumables, just because so many people are opening them. Squad fitnesses in particular, just because of how people are going to want to keep their teams competitive, and they're only going to want to use their one super team that they've built. So the demand for squad fitnesses is probably going to go up towards the end of the season, or towards the end of this game cycle rather. So that's just something that real quick, really easy, just you can pick up. You can store as many as you want. Sort of safe investment, because if you don't use them, you can just use them for your teams.
And yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons why I bought them, because I thought if I can sell them at some point, I will. But if not, I can just use them on my own team, and it saves me having to buy them for 1,300, because I've got mainly player packs from weekend leagues. I'm not really getting many fitness cards at the moment.
Right.
So it's really good little thing to bear in mind. And in terms of investing in players, I mean, it's probably, as I was saying, it's sort of not the best time because of possible fluctuations. But I suppose maybe people wouldn't necessarily lose much if they wanted to buy players now for their teams.
Yeah, but the really high end guys, still stay away from, per our recommendations from last week, still stay away from the guys that are likely going to get a team of the season item. Stay away from, because there's going to be the week tradable packs, stay away from some of the like uber high end team of the week items. But just, I mean, in general, you should be relatively okay. Prices are pretty low already.
So yeah, finally, before we leave you, one little thing I've noticed in terms of Foothead, it has team of the season prices.
It does have team of the season prices. It is only limited to the team of the season players that they have prices on. But yeah, it's a good step forward for Foothead. Yeah,
and so I guess that hints maybe they're planning to go a bit further and introduce it for other items, maybe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would assume so.
That'd be good. Cool. Before we quickly talk about Player of the Month, 2 questions which we had from Owies at Owies1994 and Jason at Mattersmate were both really helpful in deciding what we discussed. So thanks for both of those. Just Matters' question about buying 88 Fazio as a discard investment, and also a question about what the prices will do for the main league team of the seasons going forward. So thanks for both of those, really helpful. And thanks to everyone who sent questions in at FUT Weekly Pod on Twitter. And moving on to finally Player of the Month. I think the first thing to say about Player of the Month is obviously Son. And do you think he'll get a team of the season?
Yeah, that's the big question. That's the question that everyone sort of wants to know. What's his position going to be if he gets a team of the season? Because obviously the Player of the Month was a left wing, or left mid rather, and the majority of people would prefer to play him down the middle. So I mean, there's these theories going around, sort of get out your tinfoil hat time, where people are saying that because they've made the Player of the Month requirements so cheap, and because they overlap with the Premier League team this season, that is some sort of indication that that he's going to get a team this season. Because the theory would be like, why would EA wouldn't want to screw people out of doing this expensive Player of the Month when there's just going to be a player or a team this season who's just going to turn around and be even more cheap. So I mean, I guess. But
then on the other hand, maybe it suggests that he won't be in it because that's why they're happy to have it overlap.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess your guess is as good as mine here.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it could go either way. We'll actually talk more about him a bit later. And yeah, Jamie, you can find out exactly how you found him a bit later on in the pod.
All right. Sounds good. It was a pleasure talking to you as always.
Yeah, great to talk to you as well. See you next week. welcome back to part 2. Part 2 is an especially big part this week. We've got 3 team of the season teams to look at, and we've got the team of the week as well. So I think we're going to kick things off with the team of the week, seeing as that's probably the least novel of parts this week.
Least novel, but still some pretty exciting players in here.
It's actually a really good team of the week, isn't it?
Is that 4th in form, Dries Mertens, 90 rated up top. I've been using his 88 rated card recently. Very strong card. This 91 looks outstanding, and his team of the season card will doubtless be phenomenal. He's going to set you back about 400k, maybe a bit more on PlayStation, which is not a bad price for a card of that quality. Another outstanding Belgian, Kevin De Bruyne. Really solid card stats on him. A bit cheaper than Mertens, and I think it's his 3rd special item now. Again, nice card.
Maybe central, actually.
Yeah, central line card. And also, he may not get a team of the season. I think that's...
I wouldn't give him one myself.
Yeah, I have to see on that one. Edin Dzeko. I remember early on this year, he got a couple of special cards that just looked terrible.
Yeah.
They were special cards, but really poor stats.
Nothing special about them.
He's getting more usable now. Like 91 shooting, 86 dribbling. Could be an alright target man. Right.
And also could be, I think he's the cheapest 88 rated inform, so I don't know if we, for some reason, are going to require 88 rated cards for an SBC, special cards. He could be useful, but you're only looking at like premium SBCs for that kind of stuff.
I mean, he's one, keep an eye out on his price during lightning rounds. If you see any of him kind of sub 20k, if that were to happen, I think it's unlikely. And I mean, probably worth picking up.
A squad doesn't have to be 88 rated for him to be worth putting in.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's a high rated card, he can make it so that you can put in low rated cards, and that could make a squad cheaper. So
yeah, definitely. We've got another couple of higher rated players. 89 Kasper Schmeichel on the bench. One of the first goalkeepers ever to be in the Horace gang, or whatever you might want to call it, with 81 speed. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that on a keeper.
No,
his stats look insane, to be honest. Like 93 diving, 95 reflexes, 92 handling, 94 kicking, 91 positioning.
60k.
At 60k, yeah.
And only 63 on PlayStation, so...
I know, those are kind of...
I mean, they're team of the season stats, aren't they?
Those are unbelievable stats. His team of the season card will be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, he's 6 foot, so he's not the tallest keeper, we should say. But, I mean, I really want to sort of see what he's like on a keeper charge.
Yeah, exactly. I played against his 88 rated card the other day, and my opponent was just like keeper charging constantly. And the first couple, he did catch me out with it, just because he's so much quicker than most other keepers. But after a while, you get used to it if it's literally what you do whenever there's a chance of a one-on-one. Anyway, back to the kind of starting 11. Andre Pierre Gignac has gotten himself an 86 rated card. Looks quite nice. Same rating as his SPC card, I think.
I believe so.
Which looks solid. Daniele De Rossi, he got an SPC card during the FUT promotion, and I think both Ben and I were kind of like disappointed not to have got it, because he's a card who I think we've both used a lot down the years. And his 83 base card this year is good, but you just felt like it needed that little...
Especially stamina as well.
That little boost to make him more usable.
And also we both got De Rossi, so that was... De Rossi, El Shawari, so that meant that he was going to be very
premium
useful.
SVC El Shah gets a perfect link, of course, which is useful.
And I've actually already got him, and first impressions, only played a few games, but he does seem really solid. I mean, but he's kind of what you'd expect, just a better version of the standard De Rossi if you've used it.
And then finishing out the rest of the starting 11, there's Salibur, French right mid, looks a bit meh. Ezekiel Garay from Valencia, again 54 pace on a centre back, not great.
Joins Fazio in that.
That not particularly useful special
Argentine
card.
Centre back.
Yeah. Fraser Forster with an inform. Butland will be better. Then on the bench we've got Lamar from Monaco. I think that's his 3rd, or maybe even his. I think that's his 3rd or maybe even his 4th special card, and he's got some pretty outstanding stats on him. He does only have 2-star weak foot and 3-star skills though, so
that is a real shame.
Not so useful. I mean, potentially as a wide mid in a 3 at the back formation. Could like 3-5-2 with him at left mid, because he's got really solid defending. Could be nice. And Timo Werner from Leipzig got himself 2nd in form with 88 shooting along with 94 pace. Some really nice stats on him, and only like 20k on Xbox, a little bit more on PlayStation. If you're looking for just a flat out pacey striker in the Bundesliga, he's probably your best bet. And I would personally maybe prefer him to Aubameyang, just because I'm not a massive fan of Aubameyang's cards this year, but that's personal preference.
And there's Gnabry obviously being
of course, Serge Gnabry with 4-star skills.
But,
Wes Hoolahan, less said about him the better.
4-star skills though.
Yeah. Bittencourt, left winger from Köln, with nice pace, nice dribbling, poor shooting, looks all right. And Izquierdo, Colombian winger from the Belgian league. I feel like I've packed his like regular, just like rare gold card more than any other card this year. I feel like I must have packed him like 30 times.
Yeah.
But I bet I won't get him this week. It doesn't really matter. He's discard price anyway. But I mean, if you're building a Belgian league team, then it got slightly better with him. Colombian card. And yeah, there are a couple of alrightish silvers this week.
Yeah, probably none which you'll kind of get into your teams over the next week with the requirements we talked about earlier. But in terms of one particular one, Pasquato does have 4-star skills and quite nice stats, good pace. But he's got really poor stamina, so you probably wouldn't really use him.
Yeah, no, a bit of a weedy player. But let's move on to the couple of players we're going to take a closer look at who we didn't mention before. Ben, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, no, my players are, I mean, I like to pick out players who fill a bit of a niche, and this is a player who definitely does. Saul Niguez, the Spanish Atletico Madrid midfielder. The thing about him is he's got high defensive, medium attacking work rate, and that is something that you don't see on a player with decent pace in the La Liga or for Spain. So I think he kind of does fill that role of a defensive midfielder who is actually mobile. He's not a Kante, he's a bigger player body. I think he's about 6 foot, and he's also got kind of a better physical presence about him. But what I was looking at is his stats with Anchor, because his kind of all-round game in terms of his shooting is okay. You probably wouldn't tend to shoot with him, but his agility is very good, 78 for a bigger player. He's got 86 ball control, 85 dribbling, and 86 reactions. And he's got 89 short passing and 82 long passing and 76 vision. So in terms of those kind of stats, you're kind of happy with that. There's no reason to boost those particularly, but where the kind of defensive side of his game comes, you probably want to use Anchor just to get the best out of that. So he's got 86 acceleration with Anchor, 80 sprint speed, and then he's got 86 interceptions, 81 marking, but 94 standing tackle and 89 slide tackle. And then onto the physical, he really excels here actually. 93 jumping, 85 stamina, 90 strength, 79 aggression, and then he's got 80 composure as well to go with all of that. So he looks a really, really good choice in the midfield of any La Liga team, and obviously being Spanish means he gets plenty of strong links.
Yeah, I've used his non-rare, non-informed card and was quite impressed by him, but I suspect this boost up to an 83 will make him very tasty indeed, and pretty cheap for what you're getting.
Yeah, really, I think it's going to be a really good card. And who's your pick?
So I'm going to look at Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Nice to see an Arsenal player in there. Arsenal finally getting some wins when there's not really that much left to play for. But this card looks really nice. I've used his non-informed 79 rated card, and he feels really good on the ball, just like very, very agile. That's borne out in this card. It's got 90 agility and 94 balance by default, as well as 87 ball control and 91 dribbling. So I think you could probably not touch that if you are playing him as a wing back in a 5 or a 4 at the back formation. And I think you would probably want to, maybe run a 5 at the back and set your wing backs to go forwards. How competitive that actually is this year in FIFA, I don't know. But I feel like his defending is pretty weak. It's 62 by default on the card. You can boost it a bit, but probably not really enough to make it functional.
Yeah.
If you put Anchor on him, you max out his pace pretty much, 99 acceleration, 98 sprint speed. But his defending stats are sort of 68 interceptions, 67 heading accuracy, 67 marking, 77 standing tackle, which is decent, and 72 sliding tackle, along with 88 strength, which is very nice, 84 really jumping, 85 aggression. You can improve that slightly more by using Shadow. I think might be better. It gets your standing tackle above 82, sliding tackle is 77. So that's kind of functional as a right back, just about, and he would offer a lot more going forwards than most other fullbacks.
That's a really good point. I think he'd be significantly better than most right backs that standard right backs, because I can't think of many that would be as good apart from maybe Dani Alves on the ball.
Yeah, I mean there's the man of the match Pedro card, I guess, which would be better, but I think he's a lot
no defensive.
Yeah, he's a lot weaker defensively. So I don't know. I just found this quite an interesting card. He's a lot cheaper than he would be if he were a right mid or a right wing card, because he's a right back. So it kind of limits the teams you can put him in. But of course, you can always change positions in game. I mean, you could put Antonio Valencia's right mid card ahead of him and then swap them in game or something, and if you wanted.
Worth noting that he's one of the few players with both technical dribbler and speed dribbler.
He's
one of the few
definitely. So I mean, there's something you noticed and is a theory as to why Martial is so good this year, because he's kind of got that very close control you get from technical dribbler and the ability just to blast past someone with speed dribbler. And I think when I was using Ox's base card, that was something I noticed. He did just feel like he could both take neat touches around people and also just really put the gas on when he had to.
Nice.
But yeah, quite an interesting card. One other card to give a shout out to that we haven't mentioned was Patrice Evra.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a player I used early on in the game and was really solid, and I've used him a few times more recently, and he's still kind of got it. I mean, he's got high defensive work rate, medium attacking, so he does kind of stay back. He's not got great stamina, but I think putting Shadow on him will make him really effective.
Yeah, he's kind of very, very solid defensively. Not the best strength or stamina, as you said. But yeah, I've used his regular card this year and really enjoyed him.
Yeah, and he's got solid passing.
For a proper defensive fullback, he's really excellent. But yeah, that sort of wraps us up on Team of the Week. Shall we move on to Team of the Season?
Yeah. Are we going to start off with some of the bronze cards, I think?
Yeah, let's have a quick look through the bronze and silver teams. Neither of these were especially exciting, with a few exceptions. I think the bronzes are overall a bit disappointing. You've got Maguire, the Irish striker, 88 pace, and then 70 dribbling, 73 shooting. Solid stats on him. But yeah, let's jump into the two cards we're going to take a closer look at. Ben, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, the player I'm going to look at is, as far as we're concerned, shouldn't really be a bronze card at all. He's got a rating of 75 in central midfield as a card without any chemistry at all.
Yeah.
So that's just his base stats. And if you put a chemistry style on him, even basic, you end up with a player who's 79 rated at cam, which is pretty tidy.
Not bad for a 64 rated guard.
Yeah, and he's got 87 acceleration, 81 sprint speed, 80 positioning, 77 finishing, 87 shot power, 76 long shots, and 75 volleys. He's also got 95 agility and 73 strength, so he's not exactly weak. 77 stamina is maybe the only slight letdown, but 83 ball control and 75 dribbling, 75 balance, 78 short passing, 75 long, 81 vision. I mean, the list goes on. He's really well rounded. His defensive ability is not the greatest, but he's kind of one of those players you'd probably play in a more advanced centre mid role. He's 6 foot tall, so he's got a bit of presence about him, and also 3-star skills, 3-star weak foot. He plays for SK Brann, that's in the Tippelagen, and he's Norwegian, so there are a few good bronze players you can pair him with from that league. So I think he looks like a really, really good player if you're building a bronze team, but how many opportunities are you going to get to use a bronze team, unfortunately?
Yeah, we're still waiting on EA to do that all bronze weekend league requirement. But if they do, then Haugen will be your man to run the midfield.
And the other thing is that potentially if you're trying to reduce the rating of your team and say like you want him as an option, as a bench option, I mean, I might look to pick him up for the tournament just to have on the bench as someone you can just bring on and is reliable.
So, I mean, he's going to be better than a lot of silver cards.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest.
And drop your rating by 10. So
yeah, exactly. Well, moving on to my pick, he's a striker, and he's the only 4-star skill bronze in the most consistent bronze team of the season. He's called Diediu, who plays for Tenerife in the second Spanish league, Liga Adelante. And he looks pretty solid, to be honest. Less well-rounded than Haugen, but a bit quicker, with 90 agility, 89 balance by default, to go with 72 ball control, 70 dribbling. So I think he'll feel all right on the ball for a bronze. You could potentially boost that with a chem style. I've been looking at his stats with Hunter just to really capitalise on his solid base pace of 81. With Hunter, he gets 98 acceleration, 88 sprint speed, and 83 finishing, 89 shot power, and 82 positioning. He'll be quite a clinical finisher for a bronze. But as with Haugen, you still have that problem of when you're actually going to use him. I think. Also worth noting, he has pretty poor stamina and strength at 68 and 63 respectively. So he's going to be more of an impact sub than someone to actually build a team around, I think.
Maybe you can pair him up with Mane and various others though.
Yeah, he is Senegalese. So you could build a pretty cool looking team probably with him. Just not that effective. But let's move on to some of the silvers, because there are some slightly more competitive cards in that team.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with a player that I've mentioned on Twitter, just because he looks like a good option if you're looking to build for this upcoming week. His name is Osama Hassawi, I believe is the pronunciation.
Yes, Horsawi?
Oh yeah, it's got an extra W, isn't it? Hassawi. Anyway, he's Saudi, and he plays for Al Hilal. And the thing about Hassawi is he's not just a really solid silver card. He is one of the better centre-backs, I reckon, in the game,
Yeah,
that is how good his
are
stats are.
unbelievable.
With Shadow, he's got 93 acceleration, 87 sprint speed, 81 agility, and 80 balance. And then you're thinking, oh, this guy probably not that strong, is he? I mean, he's probably not that tall either. But he's 6'1", and he's got 95 strength, and like decent jumping at 79, and he's got 91 interceptions, 93 heading accuracy, 94 marking, 97 standing tackle, and 96 sliding tackle. And then of course you'll say, oh, but probably not very good on the ball, is he? Probably not got much stamina. He's actually got 94 stamina and 83 short passing. So there's not that much, to say bad about him. He's a really solid player, and in fact, he can even take a penalty. 77.
Yeah, not bad. He does only have one eye though, 41 vision.
Yeah, we'll skim over that. That is his only red stat though, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. No, he for a silver card, and as Ben says, for any card at centre back, he does just look unbelievably well equipped to do what you need him to do.
Yeah, and he has high defensive work rate, medium attacking, which is a great, really solid work rate.
Yeah, for, really good combination.
And he's under 20k, so a really good shout. And he's strong links to Al Sharani, who's a very, very a solid right back option.
Yeah, who tends to get a team in the season card.
He does
when
tend to get
the Saudi League get one.
And I should say, that's a perfect link. So you can really kind of make
it
the most.
Very easy to drop him into a team. Well, my card is probably slightly easier to link into a team. He is French. He's not in the best league. He's in the Belgian league. And his name is Maite. And I think, Ben, you mentioned him as one to look out for last week when you were having a rundown of the kind of final choice of players. And yeah, he has turned out to be a very, very tasty looking card. He's a central defensive midfielder. He's 6'1", maybe 6'2" in game, depending on how you get that thing where the online sites sometimes display the height slightly off. And he looks like quite a solid physical defensive player, but also really good on the ball, particularly given that he is a silver card. So I was looking at him with Anchor just to try and capitalise on those defensive stats, really max it out and have him just sitting at the base of your midfield, holding things together. So his standard stats without any boosts for dribbling and passing are 79 agility, 78 reactions, 83 ball control, 76 dribbling, so very functional. Dodgy balance, but we'll forget about that. 77 vision, 86 short passing, 81 long passing. So, I mean, that's more than you need for someone who's just playing the simple, easy passes, breaking down opposition play, winning the ball back. Though he does also have 81 shot power and 95 long shots.
Yeah,
so something to bear in mind if you're looking to ping one in, catch your opponent out. They may not be aware of that. Because with Anchor, he's also got 85 acceleration, 82 sprint speed, 86 interceptions, 88 marking, 94 standing tackle, 85 sliding tackle, 98 strength, and 91 aggression, as well as 81 stamina and 81 jumping. So, I mean, defensively, this guy's going to be unbelievably solid, I think.
Yeah, I think with that work rate as well, he's going to be a really interesting one to try.
Well, yeah, that was something I was about to mention, was he has the fabled, very rare combination of low attacking work rate, medium defensive, which can be absolutely perfect if you want a player who will just sit at the bottom of your midfield. They won't get forwards, but also they won't overcommit to certain positions defensively. They kind of just really are excellent for screening your defence.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be a really interesting one to try. And, with the use of, say, a legend, French.
Yeah, get a strong link to him pretty easily.
And I think he's one of those players you do find in a gold team.
Yeah, I don't think he'd feel out of place.
No.
Perfect. Well, shall we move on to the gold cards?
Yeah.
That's what everyone's here for.
The main attraction.
Yes, Ben, do you want to take us through it?
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of interesting cards. It's not the most high value team of the season, we'll see. With the highest value player being 187k on Xbox and 222 on PlayStation at time of recording, that being Vertonghen, the highest rated player. I wonder whether he's going to be nearly as popular come Premier League team of the season.
Yeah, if we're getting cards like kind of a Van Dijk team of the season card. Chris Smalling, of course, going to get a team of the season card.
Well, just wait for his footies. It's going to be
oh my god,
horrible.
Just don't.
Maybe that will break him. Though, you never know.
You never know.
So Vertonghen is obviously the best player in the team, but he's also not the quickest. 72 pace. Just as a sort of warning. I mean, he may go up in price, but I think with someone like him, it's unlikely he'll be very popular at this moment, being the Premier League lacking centre backs. I think once we see Premier League team of the season, other players will be more popular. But in terms of other sort of high-rated players, we've got Carvajal. He looks very good. He's a player who's, well, as with this team, many people have said he's deserved some kind of special card at some point this year, but it's never really happened. And he's like a really, really, really good all-round card.
Yeah, other than shooting, he's a phenomenal looking card.
Yeah, it looks really good. Another high-rated Spanish player, Jonathan Vieira. He looks really good, but is again defending just one particular sort of area of the card stats, letting him down there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a shame because he's not 4-star skills. He's got great pace, or good pace for a central midfielder. He's got good dribbling. He's got good passing. Really solid shot, and he's okay physically. But I don't know. He doesn't.
35 defending.
He doesn't really get me going. But he got you going yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Packed him in my second pack I've opened since Team of the Season came out. It's just a jumbo premium gold pack, and I was like, oh, that's a walkout. Oh, it's a Team of the Season. Oh, it's 89 rated. But as 89 rated Team of the Season cards go, I think in previous years getting an 89 rated Team of the Season would have been a bigger deal, whereas I feel this year with the 87 base rating that we were talking about earlier, it's not necessarily going to mean that player's worth tons and tons of coins.
Yeah, exactly.
Though I mean he's definitely above average for this current Team of the Season we've got.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And in terms of players who are 89 rated, we've got Danilo Pereira as well in the central midfield area. Portuguese, plays for Porto, so not too hard to link up, but there's a lack of centre-backs to link him with. That might change once we get the rest of world Team of the Season.
Yeah.
But he looks a really good player, kind of Vieira-esque, I believe, I think, looking at his stats. Vieira, obviously, 1 million, this guy, only 60k, so worth a go,
yeah.
I think.
That being Patrick Vieira, not Jonathan Vieira.
Oh, yeah, sorry. There are two Vieiras, one of whom is slightly more valuable than the other, but and slightly better at defending.
Just a little bit.
But Danilo Pereira has really good defensive stats and okay pace, and with a boost could actually be definitely a very good usable central defensive midfielder with very good work rates for it as well.
Yeah, and pretty solid passing stats as well.
Yeah, he does. He's got low crossing, so his passing's a bit of a lie. But the other midfielder who definitely has good passing and looks a really, really well-rounded player is Sanson. He's entering that Hullet gang, as we mentioned earlier. And I think the thing about him is that he has got a high attacking work rate, but on the other hand, he has really well-rounded stats. 90 strength, I believe, or is it 90 agility? 88 strength, something like that. 90 agility, 88 strength, and really good on the ball with 3-star skills and 4-star weak foot. So he's a player that I'd possibly try out. Good with Tolisso in the central midfield. Two really good box-to-box players.
I mean, there are just so many good French central midfielders this year.
Yeah.
It is kind of insane.
And I mean, there are a lot of good French players generally. Moving on to another high-rated player who maybe isn't quite so useful is Fazio.
Yeah.
90 defense, 88 physical, but 40 pace, and is only getting in a team if his pace was magically doubled.
Yeah, if only there was some kind of Halloween Ultimate Scream style thing like they did for Per Mertesacker, giving him like 88 pace or whatever it was. Alongside his 40 pace, he's got 36 agility, so he's not going to be one of those players that feels quicker than their stats suggest.
Yeah.
No, he looks kind of unusable, which is sad because with a bit more pace, he could, even if he had kind of 60 or 70 pace, he could be quite an effective centre back, I think.
Yeah, I mean, possibly if you play so deep that your centre back doesn't leave the edge of the penalty area, you might be right.
You might be,
but even then, I think
still
going to go around.
I still wouldn't use him.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
One player who I definitely would use as a centre back is Jorgensen. He's Danish and he plays in the I think, is that the Danish league?
It is the Danish league. Yeah. Plays for FC Copenhagen.
That's it. And he can be perfect linked in fact with Akore. He just played for Aston Villa and is really quick and strong, and with a shadow card actually has very, very good defensive stats. And the combination of the two with a perfect link means you can kind of drop them into most teams, and then you can put that Schmeichel we were talking about earlier behind them, and you've got a really fairly cheap and very, very reliable centre-back pairing.
Yeah, it could be a really nice little sort of triangle of defensive solidity.
Yeah, and talking of keepers, we've got Baumann.
Yeah.
He's kind of a not so big German goalkeeper, but he's got really good stats, and I think probably one of the better Bundesliga keepers.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely up there. He looks like he's got really solid all-round stats, just slightly dodgy kicking maybe.
Yeah, and then looking at some other players which are maybe I don't know, slightly more under the radar, aside from Jorgensen, of course. Torreira, Calcio A, Serie A midfielder from Uruguay, plays for Sampdoria. Nice link into Martial, Muriel, and as well, obviously links to Suarez. Good fun to link up your El Shaarawy and your Suarez if you've got those SBC cards like myself. He's ridiculously kind of agile and nippy, and he's got good balance, he's got good agility, but he's only 5'5", so not exactly someone who's going to hustle as much as, I mean, he's not weak, but he's not going to sort of hustle like he's not like a Yaya Toure, is he?
Yeah.
He is almost Kante-ish, but he's definitely not Kante.
Yeah, not strong enough defensively.
No.
Just to kind of, he can probably link up your defence and attack quite nicely,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
he won't necessarily win the ball back as much.
And he won't necessarily finish off a move either.
Yeah.
So he's probably worth a try. He's cheap, but maybe not the best player in this team. In fact, a slightly better midfielder, who's probably slightly harder to link though, is El Amadi, who plays for Feyenoord and is Moroccan. I remember back in the day with them, used to be able to have that Moroccan team with Basoufa and Tarabt and various others. It was a really, really nice little sort of skill hybrid you could get going. He would have been amazing at the time, but he was languishing at Aston Villa, I think, as a non-rare gold card. But he looks quite good now, and he's really well-rounded with a high defensive work rate, medium attacking. He's very good on the ball with 86 dribbling and 85 passing, and with anchor, is perfectly capable defensively. So it could be an interesting player to try. Really, really decent stats, as I was saying, and someone who can benefit from a chem style to boost those defending stats.
In fact, he gets 99 standing tackle if you give him anchor.
Oh,
So
really?
he's got 92 by default.
Oh,
Which
nice.
is very nice in game
It's kind of
stats.
a hidden stat behind that defending. He's a 90 rated CDM, in fact. Another player I feel like I should mention very quickly is Pazzini, because recently I posted saying he's the worst goal card in the game. And then he goes and gets himself possibly the worst team of the season card.
Yeah, an 87 rated card where the highest card stat is 84 shooting, followed by 80 dribbling, and then nothing above 75. Pretty poor looking card. If you look in game, actually, he does have 99 positioning, 97 finishing, 99 jumping and heading accuracy. So a bit like some of the legends, like Inzaghi. It's got like a terrible card, but then it's got like unbelievable finishing.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be as good as Inzaghi, and Inzaghi's not very good in this game. Probably one to avoid.
And he's in the second tier of Italian football, so it's going to be relatively difficult to link in. And if you can link him in, you can probably link Balotelli in, and that's going to be better. So that's him.
That's
His
him
team of the season ruined.
dealt with.
Let's move on. So the last card is Bruma, who obviously is great, and anyone who hasn't tried him should give him a go, because his normal card's pretty good, and this card will be pretty phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that 98 base looks really
That's all
tasty.
you need to know, isn't it? He's got ridiculous shot power as well, actually.
Yeah, like almost maxed out, I think, by default.
Yeah. So do you want to give us your sort of first pick?
Yeah, so a card that I wanted to take a slightly closer look at, one that we've not mentioned yet, is Glushakov, the CDM from the Russian league, plays for Spartak Moscow. So quite a useful, strong link into Quincy Promes, who recently got that 86 rated striker card, which looks very nice. The Russian league is one that I've kind of been keeping an eye on throughout this year, because there's actually some really nice cards in there, like Giuliano, that Promes card I was just talking about, Manuel Fernandez, who I know you're a huge fan of, Ben. Alan Jagoev also got quite a nice card. It's only defensively that the league is lacking, and this card goes some way to helping that. It's a really, really excellent CDM, which is a role that just wasn't really filled in the league before this. So if you put anchor on him, he gets 86 acceleration, 77 sprint speed, which is perfectly serviceable in that position, and 93 defending on average, which includes 88 interceptions, 97 marking, 96 standing tackle, 92 sliding tackle, which is really solid stats. 89 stamina by default, which is fine. 89 strength with anchor. Also 99 jumping, which is really decent on a card who's kind of 5'11", 6 foot tall. So I think from that point of view, he'll be really good. He's got high work rates, so he won't necessarily sit, but he will cover a lot of ground. He'll buzz around people. Slight worry, maybe 75 agility, but I think that should be fine. The rest of his dribbling stats are really solid, actually. 82 balance, 85 reactions, 89 ball control, 82 dribbling. Passing as well, he's got 84 on card, but actually his kind of relevant passing stats are 87 vision, 89 short passing, 87 long passing.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's kind of brought down by free kick accuracy and curve, so as long as you've got another free kick taker in the team, that's irrelevant. And I think you'll probably be surprised by quite how good he is at passing. And his shooting's also really solid. 81 finishing, 80 long shots, and 95 shot power.
Yeah, it looks very good.
Like, it's a really solid card. He's discard at the moment, 21k, or slightly more, maybe 22, 23 across both consoles. And I think when the Russian League get their own team in the season, this could be a really good league to build a kind of budget elite team in. So I think there could be some, if they get some better defenders, because now they've got Glushkov, they've basically got every role except central defence and keeper covered, really.
In fact, someone who follows us, my Jester, tweeted us his team that he was using, and that is kind of exactly that. He has every player from the Russian league apart from centre backs and goalkeeper, and I mean that's absolutely fine, especially because you've got like Chiellini.
Yeah, I think at the moment he was using Crisquito to link in the Juve kind of back like core three.
Yeah, and he just put Glushkov in fact. So if you're on Twitter and follow us at FUT Weekly Pod, I'm sure we'll retweet his thoughts on Glushkov at some point, so everyone can know how much of a beast he actually is.
Yeah, for sure. So Ben, who's your card to take a closer look at?
Well, my card is a player who I've used quite a bit this year, especially earlier on. He featured as a Dynamite discard. He was 78 rated at the time. He's since had an 80 upgrade and is now an 87 rated team of the season. That player plays for Sporting, and he is Gelson Martinez. Gelson Martins.
Yeah, Martins.
Yeah, and he is 4-star skills, 4-star weak foot, right-footed, with medium defensive, high attacking work rate. He's 5'8", and obviously Portuguese. So that combination there, not so much the fact he's Portuguese, but the other bits sort of indicate he's going to be a good winger. 4-star skill, 4-star weak foot, of course, the good work rates, and where he really excels, of course, is that pace. 99 acceleration, 98 sprint speed, 99 agility, and 99 balance with absolutely no boosts at all.
Yeah, those are phenomenal stats.
And I think that's the good thing about those stats particularly, is that you can use Maestro, because that Maestro card doesn't actually boost agility or balance or sprint speed or acceleration. So those other attacking stats get a lovely boost off that. So yeah, those attacking stats, long shots is where he particularly excels. 94 shot power, 93 long shots, 91 attacking positioning, 84 finishing, and a tidy 95 volleys as well. And then in the sort of dribbling, you're looking at 99 dribbling and 94 ball control, as well as 93 reactions, and of course that 99 agility and balance. And then moving on to physical, you might think, not going to have great physical, but actually 99 stamina and 87 jumping is pretty good. And if you want him
94 stamina, I think.
94 stamina, you can really get him going up and down the wing without worrying about his stamina draining.
No, definitely. I think stamina is so important for the wide players. Definitely.
And then on the passing side of things, 96 vision, 99 short passing, and 83 crossing, as well as 71 long passing and 98 curve.
Yeah, it's a really solid card all round, to be honest.
I'm quite looking forward to trying him out, and you can link him with Nelson Semedo.
Yeah.
Who's a very good right back, and one I'd highly recommend.
Cool. Well, so does that sort of wrap us up on Team of the Season for this week?
Yeah, incredibly. I think we're fine and finished. May not have 3 teams for you next week, but as a certain EA Live producer likes to say, unexpect the expected.
Unexpect the expected.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to some player reviews. I'm going to be doing Player of the Week this week, and it's a rather nice 89 rated Heung-min Son card. But before that, Ben, who's your informed impression?
Well, Horace, very nice of you to ask. My review this week is going to be FUT Birthday Abate, a player that is, over the years, been one of the Calcio Serie A's top right back, and this year was slightly different because his standard 78 rated card wasn't particularly good, but this card, with its boost to his pace and his dribbling and his actually his long shots are decent, he's got good short passing, and just an overall really, really solid upgrade on his regular card, as most FUT Birthday cards were. But this, I think, is better than any other right back options in the league. I mean, if you want a more attacking player, you could go with your Dani Alves or your Florenzi, of course. But neither of those players have the defensive qualities that Ignacio Abate has. And don't forget, though, Ignacio Abate does have 3-star skills. He has poor weak foot, but he does have avoids weaker foot. So I don't find that too much of a problem. And he's got a very, very kind of decent sized, chunky sort of player type. Yeah. So he's hard to get around at 5'10". But yeah, his stats are very good. 99 acceleration and 99 sprint speed with anchor. I've gone with Anchor just to his defending is good, but I think it needs a boost, and his strength is 75, which again could have a boost. So 99 acceleration, 99 sprint speed, 84 interceptions, which is probably one of his weaker stats actually, but I think he kind of compensates with his pace. Then he's got A7 marking, 94 standing tackle, 94 sliding tackle, and then 87 jumping, 90 stamina, 85 strength, 88 aggression, and 78 composure, which isn't bad for a right back. So then his short passing, which I've left as standard, is very good at 86, 79 long passing, and then he's got decent ball control and dribbling in the sort of mid to low 80s, and then 86 agility as well, and 81 balance. So many of you may have already looked at his stats, but that's a quick rundown for those who haven't. But I think in terms of what I've thought of him is that he has really outperformed your standard Florenzi card, not used his inform, but he's much more expensive. And I think that he may remain the best defensive right back in the league beyond Team of the Season, because the guy who's a candidate for Team of the Season is Zappacosta, who is not as quick and doesn't look quite as good as this Abate card. So we'll see what happens, but he's probably worth a look at. He's now 60k, but earlier in the week he's down at 45. I think he kind of slipped down in price and people have realised and bought him now. But yeah, a really, really good player, and one I wouldn't look past, just because people may think he's slightly lacking offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a really big fan of Florenzi's just base 82 card this year, but having looked more closely at the stats on that Abate, I can absolutely see why he'd just be a more solid defensive player, because that is Florenzi's weakness in his game. I mean, going forward, he's outstanding, but defensively, he can be found out.
Yeah.
Should we move on to Heung-min Son?
Yeah, the big boy this week.
The big boy. So Son's 80, or now 84, after he got an upgrade, then 83 Player of the Month card was, I think, the first Player of the Month that I got. I didn't go for the Sterling right at the start of the game. And I really, really enjoyed him. He was like crux of my weekend league team for a month or two.
Did you have like a ridiculous record?
I had like an outstanding record with him. I mean, I was switching him to play striker in game, but I was on kind of 1.6, 1.7 goals a game or something with him, which is really solid for that stage of the game. I was like pretty happy with it. I then started playing him in different teams, playing him out on the wing a bit more, and the record fell off the cliff slightly. I just kind of I had that. You were talking about player rot with Matt Sanborn the other week,
2 weeks ago,
and I kind of did get that feeling with him, and it I don't believe in player rot, but I think because of the teams I was using him in, and possibly a patch to how the game worked, because there were quite a few patches around that time. Some game mechanics shifted. I don't know. Things stopped working with him, and I just didn't really touch him. He was gathering dust in my club. Then he got an upgrade. I tried him out again a bit. He was all right. And then he got
skill upgrade.
Well, he got an overall upgrade.
Overall upgrade, yeah.
And I tried him out a bit more, but still wasn't great. Then he got the skill move upgrade, so he was 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills, and I was using the 84 ahead of Martial in like my Premier League team that I use a bit, and I was really, really enjoying him. So when I saw that he got Player of the Month again, a little part of me was kind of tempted to do it, and then I looked into how much it would cost, and it was actually really cheap for such a good card. I mean, this card, just the base stats, 93 pace, 92 dribbling, 94 shooting, 90 passing, really, really awesome stats. And if you whack engine on him, he's almost got maxed out pace, 99 acceleration, 98 sprint speed, and then his dribbling is 96 with 93 agility, 97 balance, 94 reactions, 93 ball control, and 99 dribbling. And his passing is 93 vision, 97 crossing, 99 free kick accuracy, 99 short passing, and he's got 99 curve by default on the card. So you've got an absolutely phenomenal winger in terms of those stats. But, of course, you've still got that base 94 shooting with that 92 positioning, 94 finishing, 95 shot power, and maxed out long shots at 99. And in the games I've played him in so far, that has really, really shown. He's kind of creatively, he's been excellent out wide. I think the passing boost from Engine means he's got several assists for me, but also he had, I mean, with those shooting stats, you can finish from anywhere. I was showing you, Ben, a low driven shot across goal from really, really wide, kind of closer to the almost outside the box. And that was the first goal I scored with him. And I was thinking, when that went in, I was thinking, I think we're going to get on quite well. But yeah, other notable stats: 99 stamina, 99 heading accuracy, and 89 jumping on this card, which really, really useful. I mean, maxed out stamina is an essential thing if you're trying to really have an end game player. My one worry about getting him was whether or not he's going to get a team of the season. Because obviously that is definitely on the cards for him. He has had a really good season for Spurs. I mean, player of the month twice, the only player to get that this year. 2 team of the week items and 2 man of the match items. Obviously the man of the match is not in the Premier League, so shouldn't necessarily contribute to team of the season qualification. Whether or not he gets a team of the season card, I don't know. We'll have to see, and how much it would
Spurs
cost.
players, which I think kind of deserve it ahead of him. But
I feel like Eriksen will probably get in ahead of him. Kane, obviously. Dele Alli, Walker, maybe.
Yeah, Rose should probably.
Yeah, Danny Rose.
Lloris even has a shout. I mean,
yeah. So it may be that he misses out because they feel like there's a Spurs overload in there.
Wanyama, of course.
Wanyama. And yeah, it does pain me to talk so much about how well Spurs players have done this year, but I've enjoyed using Son's cards since he was in the Bundesliga, so I feel like I've got a special relationship with him. That's nice. But basically, if people are considering doing this Player of the Month SVC, on Footbin's calculator it currently says it's about 200k on both consoles, actually slightly less on Xbox, slightly more on PlayStation. But if you've got a handful of players in your club already, you won't necessarily have to outlay that much. Obviously, there's opportunity cost in doing that, so it still costs the same because you're not selling those players on. But no players are really especially cornered by this SBC. So I suspect the price may go down if we get a lot of pack opening over the course of team of the season, because the special card requirements aren't that stringent.
Yeah, the only thing is if informs go up overall because there's an inform requirement SBC, then you could see it rise, I suppose, because obviously some informs are required. But I'd argue that if you want to do it, maybe do it now, just because 200k is not that bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of it might get cheaper, but it's not going to get that much cheaper, and it could potentially get a lot more expensive if the market really recovers from the point it's been at. But 200k for a player with these stats, if you'd offered me that a week ago,
he's like a 96 rated left wing with engine or something.
Something like that, yeah. With engine, he's a 96 rated winger, 95 rated wide mid, 95 rated cam, centre forward, left forward, right forward, 94 rated striker, and you can get him to be a really high rated striker if you actually boost his shooting, because you can pretty much max everything out. I'm really pleased that I did it, and seriously enjoying the card. And it's such a noticeable difference up from the 84. If you've been using the 87 or the 88, you might not notice it as much. But if you've got the old previous Player of the Month like me, and are happy to put a couple of 100k into a player or slightly under that, if you get good deals on some of the players, then I think really worth it.
And I mean, you definitely argue at this stage, and I've said this about a few players like Inform or 87 rated Koulibaly. I mean, the improvement will be there if he gets a team of the season, but it's not going to be really, really huge.
Yeah, I mean, this card has almost maxed out dribbling, almost maxed out pace, almost maxed out shooting, and really outstanding passing if you've put engine on him.
Yeah.
And you can properly max out any one of those areas if you choose to, and with a different chem style.
Of course, he's a winger, so you maybe probably not looking to spend too much on one wide player, and you'd rather put those coins maybe into your striker or into your central midfielder. I think it's a good idea to do this one, actually. I think it's kind of going to go under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my 2 cents on Heung-min Son.
Very interesting indeed.
Sort of wraps us up for the week.
Yeah, thank you for staying with us. It's been quite the marathon of team of the season. There's a lot of players to get through, in particular this week. I'm sure we'll have plenty more for you, but maybe not quite as many as we've had.
And of course, if you haven't already, you can subscribe to the podcast through the Apple or Android apps or any other podcast platforms. And why not join the conversation? Get in touch with us on Twitter @FootWeeklyPod or by email at footweekly@mail.com.
Bye.